On August 28 this year, President Buhari withheld assent to the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill, PIGB. The PIGB is the first part of the Petroleum Industry Bill, which the National Assembly broke down to 4 parts to enable easy passage. The PIB is intended to ensure efficiency, transparency, and good governance in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. But the legislature and the presidency have been unable to pass this critical legislation into law for years. The senior special advisor to the president on National Assembly matters, Senator Enang, briefed journalists recently on why President Buhari declined assent to the PIGB.
You're not having a large turnover of rejected bills. You're having a large turnover of considered bills. When the legislature passes a legislation, it is intended that the executive, the president in this case, will look at it. And when it looks at it, the president will examine to see whether is there an existing law in that matter. Will it conflict with an existing agency? Is it a matter within the legislative competence of the National Assembly? Or is it a matter which could be dealt with by the state? Or is there an infringement of the Constitution by that bill? Or is there any other matter which, if the president assents to it, public interest will be impaired? Take, for instance, when the president sent back a bill, or the electoral bill, and stated many reasons. One of them, it did not contain the card reader. Mr. President rejected it and stated reasons. When the president rejected or declined assent to the petroleum industry bill, he stated reasons that this bill will deprive the entire other 3 tiers of government of revenue, that the amount of money that the Petroleum Regulatory Commission and perhaps the Petroleum Technology Trust Fund will be so much that it will deprive the states and the local government of revenue. When the president declined assent to the bill on postal bill, Mr. President gave reason that those matters that the post wanted to handle were matters that were going to deprive the government of the states of their revenue and was infringing on the job of the revenue collecting agencies of the state government, which, if they collect, will belong to the state government. I'm just giving a view of these examples, that these are reasons why the bills are declined. And the president or the governor, yes, is part of the lawmaking process, because if it's invited, or a minister is invited, or I'm invited, or any of the parastatals is invited for the public hearing, the president makes input to the public hearing. At the end of the public hearing or the input made, then the final document that is passed may not take account of that input, or it may take account of that input. Then another agency is infringed upon. Then that agency, perhaps another ministry, take for instance, Ministry of Transportation, Ministry of Aviation, Ministry of Works, Ministry of Education, they may have a bill that has interest that affects all of them. And if one or two of them made input, and by the time Mr. President looks at it, Mr. President at the end of it may take input from every one of them. They may have reservations, and Mr. President will consider all their reservations. Finally, you remember we had the Constitution Review or Constitution Amendment bills. Although there were hearings at the Senate and House of Representatives, there were hearings at the zonal levels, there were hearings and the inputs were made at the state levels. When the bills passed at the National Assembly and were sent to the states, each of the states still conducted their hearings. At the end of it, some bills affecting the judiciary, there were certain reservations about those bills by the legal community, the judicial community. There were even civil society had reservations about some of those provisions. the extent to which it will infringe on existing rights, and the way it will affect other matters, and of course, in some ways, the way it conflicted with existing provisions. Therefore, these are reasons that Mr. President declines assent or assents to bills. He said that the amount of revenue that that agency will have, in addition to the 10%, will be too much, and that revenue ordinarily belongs to local government and state governments, not just the federal government. The president is being reasonable that although this money belongs to a federal agency, but the constitution, the money they are going to take, should belongs to these federal and state governments. That should be taken account of. That agency will be too strong and financially, that it will deprive the state and local governments of their revenue. The legislature should just take each of those reasons, address those reasons, and represent the bill for Mr. President's considerations.
Now, this is where we draw the curtains on this week's edition of the Gavel. If you have any views on any of the issues discussed, please email us on thegavel@channelstv.com. Thank you for staying with us, and see you again next week.